I often receive emails asking me, hey Julian, can we still make money in DeFi or is it too late? The short answer is a big yes. Last week, someone made a profit of $24 million in 7 minutes with very little capital and very little risk. In this video, I'm going to explain how that happened step by step with all the details. It involves a DeFi protocol called Harvest Finance, and it uses an advanced DeFi technique called a flash loan. With flash loans, you can borrow millions of dollars without any collateral, and you can use the money to make even more money. This stuff is really mind-blowing, and it's only in DeFi. As you can see, it's not too late to make money with flash loan. So if you want to learn how to make arbitrage with flash loan, check out my free training down below. And if you don't know me, I'm Julian, and on my channel Eat the Blocks, I teach DeFi and blockchain development. Harvest Finance is a robot advisor for DeFi, which is also called a DeFi yield aggregator. It automatically allocates your investment into the DeFi protocol with the highest return. It became hugely popular when it launched in October 2020, reaching almost $1 billion in total value locked. This is not the first robot advisor for DeFi. The first DeFi protocol that did this was Yearn Finance of Andre Cronje, and Harvest Finance took the same idea and launched its own version of Yearn Finance. With Harvest Finance, you can invest some stable coins like DAI, USDC, USDT, but also some other assets like Wrap Ether or Wrap BTC. Harvest Finance forward your tokens into another DeFi protocol with the highest yield. In exchange, you get tokens that prove that you have invested in Harvest Finance. For example, if you invest USDC, you get FUSDC from Harvest Finance. At any time, you can redeem your FUSDC to get back your original USDC, plus the profit you gain paid in USDC as well. The rebalancing in the best DeFi protocol is done at every block, and that guarantees you that you get the best yield at any time. Okay, so now that we have a better understanding of how the Harvest Finance protocol works, next we need to understand how flash loan works, because that's the mechanism that was used in the hack of the Harvest protocol. Flash loan allow you to borrow a lot of money on the blockchain without any collateral. The without any collateral part is very important. Usually in traditional finance, we only lend to the rich. But with flash loan, even if you don't have any capital, you can still access a lot of borrowed capital. How this is possible and how does the lender can protect itself if you don't reimburse the money. Let's see how this works. In a flash loan, you need to deploy your own smart contract. That's the flash loan borrower on this schema. The first step is to borrow tokens from a flash loan provider. There are several flash loan providers, and usually there are exchanges like Uniswap or Aave. After, once you have the tokens in your flash loan borrower contract, you can do whatever you want with these tokens. For example, you can do some arbitrage or some liquidations. And after, the last step is to return the borrowed money to the flash loan provider plus a small fee. If you don't do this, the whole transaction fails. That's how the lender protects itself. Everything happens in a single transaction. There is no concept of loan duration. I know this sounds really crazy, and there is no equivalent of a flash loan in traditional finance. This is unique to DeFi. Okay, so that's it for this explanation of how flash loan work. Next, I'm going to explain the hack of Harvest Finance. So as I said in the intro, someone made 24 million of profit with the Harvest Finance protocol and a flash loan. And I'm going to explain what happened exactly in this section. The first step was to borrow a lot of stablecoin in a flash loan. There are several protocols that provide flash loan, but for this hack, the attacker chose Uniswap. So with this Uniswap flash loan, the attacker borrowed 50 million of USDC and about 18.3 million of USDT. After, the next step was to increase the price of USDC. For that, the attacker sold for about 17.2 USDT to buy a similar amount of USDC on a pool of Curve Finance, which is a famous decentralized exchange. When you trade a large amount like this, it moves the price of the market. That's what we call slippage. So in this case, it made the price of USDC go up. When you invest USDC in the pool of Harvest Finance, you exchange USDC against FUSDC, which can also be called a share of the USDC pool on Harvest Finance. The price of this share depends on the price of USDC on Curve Finance. Why Curve Finance and not another decentralized exchange? This is up to the developer of Harvest Finance to decide, but my guess why they picked Curve Finance is because it's the most popular exchange for stablecoins, so it makes sense to take their price as a reference. Because the attacker just made the price of USDC go up on Curve, the price of the USDC share on Harvest went down, or in other terms, we can get more share with the same amount of USDC. So the next step was to deposit about 15 million of USDC on Harvest Finance and get USDC shares in return. After that, the next step was to manipulate the price of USDC in the other direction on Curve Finance. For that, the attacker sold 17.2 USDC to buy a similar amount of USDT on Curve Finance. This caused the price of USDC to go down this time, which made the price of the USDC share go up on Harvest Finance. Or in other terms, we need more USDC to buy a USDC share on Harvest. After that, the attacker sold its USDC shares by sending the FUSDC token to Harvest and in exchange got the USDC back. He got about 15.6 million USDC back, which is 600 million more than what was initially used to buy these shares. So in other words, that's a profit of 600 million. So why is there a profit here? There is a profit because the attacker was able to buy a USDC share of Harvest at a low price and later sell these shares at a high price. Buy low, sell high, the basics of trading. And after that, the attacker sold this 600 million to Gen BTC, a token that represents BTC on the Ethereum blockchain. And after that, he redeemed this Gen BTC token to BTC, so he actually got some real Bitcoin. It seems like the attacker did this in order to be able to use a Bitcoin mixer, which is a technique used to make it harder to track your transactions. He repeated the process 17 times for the USDC pool of Harvest Finance and 13 times for the USDT pool. So what the aftermath of this hack? It took 7 minutes for the attacker to do this hack. He made $24 million, which were taken directly from the pocket of other investors of Harvest Finance. Curiously, 2.5 million of profit were returned by the attacker to the Harvest Finance protocol. When the news of this became public, investors started to freak out, which caused a massive withdrawal of $75 million from the platform. The farm token, the governance token of Harvest, also took a massive nosedive and fell 54% to about $100. The team of Harvest was pretty fast to respond. They announced a bounty of $100,000 to identify the attacker. They also said that they actually knew the identity of the attacker, so we can't know for sure if that's true, but in any case, it's a nice trick to put some psychological pressure on the attacker. Harvest Finance also identified the Bitcoin addresses involved in the hack and asked the main exchanges to block these addresses. The big vulnerability in the smart contract of Harvest Finance was that they used the on-chain price oracle of Curve Finance. It's very easy to manipulate prices on the blockchain. If you want to protect against this problem, you have to use an off-chain oracle like Chainlink. So now that you understand how this flash loan hack works, the big question is how you can make that much money yourself. First, you gotta be aware that there is some debate in the community about whether this flash loan transaction was a hack or not. On the one hand, the guy who did this flash loan just used the code of smart contract, and one of the founding principles of blockchain is that code is law. Whatever you can do with the code, you have the right to do it. On the other hand, of course, the creators of Harvest Finance did not intend their smart contract to be used that way. What happened was essentially market manipulation. Currently, the DeFi space is not regulated, but in the future, at some point, regulators will start to have a look. And at that time, it's not impossible that regulators will consider this type of operation illegal. If and when that happens, regulators might decide to fine people who were involved in this, even for past operation. For example, that's what happened to the guy who operated Ether Delta, the first decentralized exchange, who got fined $400,000. Can you make money with flash loan without taking any legal risk? Yes, you can. And the good news is that you can do it in a repeatable way by running scripts that monitor and execute arbitrage opportunities automatically. I explain all of this in my flash loan free training down below. And on my channel, I also have many other videos that tell you everything you need to know about flash loans and how to make money with them. You can find all of these videos in this playlist on my channel. I'll see you there.